Another guest in the studio, it's from FNR Radio, Football Nation Radio, Athos Sirianos. We're talking the world game, the round ball code. Some people call it football, we call it football, some call it soccer. Now, what's the new breakfast program like on FNR doing?
There's a few new breakfast programs, George. There's
okay.
Breakfast on FNR, which has reprised its role on a Wednesday through to Friday, and Monday to Tuesday, it's Ed and Athos on FNR as well.
So Ed's behaving himself, is he?
Ed is behaving himself.
And,
We've kept him on a short leash.
And how's Nick Hughes going? Is he coping?
He is coping. He's in on a Thursday. He's very happy with Liverpool's performance the other day over Tottenham.
Yeah, the less said about that, the better. I know there are people from Liverpool who are gloating, but as I say, it's a marathon, it ain't a sprint, and good luck to them.
Absolutely.
Next time. Now, speaking of football, some amazing decisions in the A-League. We're only 10 days away, or just under that, for the new A-League season, which starts on the 27th. And we've heard that Melbourne City, which has been based in Bundoora alongside the La Trobe University for years now, has suddenly decided, right in the midst of the preparations for a brand new A-League season, it's going to do something else. What's it done?
So this is a significant move for Melbourne City. As you mentioned, they've been based in Bundoora for so long. So they've formed a partnership with Team 11, who were the one of the unsuccessful A-League bids from last time around. So they've really kept pushing to get the southeast of Melbourne represented on the grand stage. So they've partnered with Melbourne City, and Melbourne City will now be moving their base to the southeast of Melbourne, down to Casey Fields. They will be building a brand new sports academy, and hopefully, or the plan is eventually to get Melbourne City to be playing at a brand new stadium in Dandenong. The Greater City of Dandenong Council is continuing to push for a boutique 15,000 seat stadium. They have been doing that since day one.
So you're telling me now that the championship winning W League side from Melbourne City will be playing a lot of its games out of, Dandenong?
Yes, so the W League side will be playing its home games, or quite a few of their home games, out of Dandenong City's stadium, including the Melbourne Derby in January.
Wow.
The men's side will still be playing at Amy Park for now, although
for the moment,
there is talk and belief that there is scope for change down the line.
Wow, that's amazing. And what about the youth team? Are they going to be based in Bundoora for the time being? And will it be a phased exit out of that?
Correct. So
because that's a magnificent facility.
Well, it's relatively new as well. It was only built about 4 or 5 years ago. So all systems go as things stand at Bundoora. This move to Casey will be a gradual one. I believe they're looking to move in by January 2022.
So that tells you two things. Very strategic, and more importantly, that, by the sound of it, there's going to be a sizable investment at the Casey Field setup, which means they're here for the long term. A question that many people had been asking almost from day one. From the day that the City Football Group came in, there was always a number of knockers or critics who were saying, oh, they're only here for the short time, there won't be anything substantial or long term. Well, this looks like this is a long-term contribution.
And it also gives Melbourne City a geographical identity now, something that they have been lacking. So now all of Melbourne and Greater Melbourne are represented. You've got Western United in the west, Melbourne Victory in the central.
It's a huge nursery and a huge multicultural community down there.
Over 160 nationalities over in the southeast of Melbourne. It's an incredibly fast growing pocket of Australia, really, and now they will have a team to call their own.
Wow, so with the A-League season just about ready to start, big news out of Melbourne City. What's happening at Newcastle? We're hearing some strange things. There's talk that there's the FA, that's Football Australia, is going to take the licence away, or is it the A-League, the newly independent A-League, that's going to take their licence away? Well, what's the wording?
I don't think we need to worry about them having their licence removed. The clubs have said that if need be, they will band together to keep the Jets alive, because the last thing we need, especially with MacArthur coming in and talk of a second division, is to lose an A-League licence and go back to 11. We don't want to go backwards. As for the on-field activity of the Jets, they're still without a coach. Of the players that were reportedly unhappy, I've heard Steven Ugarkovic is content at the moment and he's training the house down. But Bernie Abini today...
I was going to say, tell me about young Abini, because something rather controversial, huh?
Yeah, so he
Tell me about this.
left the Jets and it is believed he will join the Wanderers, albeit because we don't have a transfer
System in policy,
in policy for the A-League clubs. The normal routine is A-League club releases player X and player Y, club Y picks him up.
But we're hearing there's going to be some measure of compensation.
Well, there has been some kind of compensation that has gone Newcastle's way. Now, whether I think it was reported that Ibini paid out his contract or whether the Wanderers did something, made some payments informally, there is no transfer system yet, but...
So it may well be the beginnings of a Clayton's domestic transfer system.
Yeah.
The one you have when you haven't got one.
Yeah, just about. It might just be the first unofficial transfer that went through, but because we don't have the transfer system in place, it can't technically stand as an official transfer.
All right. Let's talk about some of the other big news that's been happening. We're hearing now that the teams that have qualified for the Asian Championship for the next season have suddenly been identified, or at least we now know who some of their opponents are going to be and who they're likely to meet. And that's pretty exciting, especially for a team like Melbourne City, which finished second last year, first time in Asia. That's going to be something.
Well, they have to get past one of the Myanmar representatives in the playoff to qualify for the group stage. So because the A-League teams have been performing so poorly in Asia, we had one of our automatic spots taken away from us. So Sydney FC advanced to the group stage, being the champions, and Melbourne City and Brisbane Roar, the second and third respective sides, have to go via the playoffs.
What are we seeing overseas? There's been no shortage of disappointment and upset in all the leagues, whether it's Barcelona struggling, a return to form by Real Madrid, Juventus having its ups and downs, PSG bouncing up and down depending on whether Neymar turns it on or not. What have you made of it? And in the English Premier League, as you said, Liverpool back on top.
Well, Liverpool this week were the only team in the top 8 to record a victory. So that just tells you about how
topsy-turvy nature,
competitive it is. We saw Leeds score 3 goals late during the week to win 5-2. West Brom sacked Slaven Bilic and they've brought in Sam Allardyce.
Wow. Now there's a name from a blast from the past. Sam has always been one of the most stubborn and dour managers, tough, but always has been able to drag something out of the squads that he's been given. Do you think this is a good move?
Absolutely. Well, Big Sam has always been brought in when a team is down in the dumps and has always managed to keep them up. He has never been relegated from the many clubs that he's been at. He brought West Ham from the Championship to the Premier League, and he is your Mr. Fix-It. He comes in and does a job and gets paid and goes on. And
he also has a reputation for being probably the shortest placed English manager in the annals of the game. Yes. He was appointed, and through some controversial things off the field, he got stripped of his position when we thought that England might be looking for a new era in the game.
Yeah, the media did a bit of a dirty on him. He's got one win from one game, so he will forever have a 100% record.
Pretty good record to have when you can have it.
Absolutely.
Mate, what are you looking forward to seeing over the festive season? There'll be a bundle of games being played. What are you looking forward to see most? Well,
it's that inaugural MacArthur match. They don't really travel, but they go down to Bankwest Stadium to play against Western Sydney Wanderers, hopefully in front of a full house down there.
That would be exciting.
A passionate supporter base. We need at least 20 to 25,000 rocking up to really make a statement that the A-League has arrived, we've got fans there, and we're ready to make a whole heap of noise in 21.
And just one other thing, a series of exchanges and appointments. We're seeing a bundle of the W League players moving to new clubs. Some are moving back to different states to stay close to family. But there'll be some new faces that we're going to see in the W League as well.
Absolutely, some familiar faces. Claire Polkinghorne has gone back to Brisbane. Lisa Davana back to Melbourne Victory, where it all began. Jenna McCormick, who we mentioned last week, has gone to Melbourne City. Emily Gilnick has returned from overseas and gone to Brisbane Roar, as well as all the brand new faces, all the young Matildas who now have the opportunity to rise to that next level and replace the Matildas who left for overseas.
Fantastic stuff. Look, there's obviously a lot going on. Look forward to the launch of the A-League season, and let's see what more we can talk about next we meet on the Informer to talk about the World Game. In the meantime, you'll continue with your breakfast stints on FNR.
Absolutely.
Athos Sirianos joining us from FNR, Football Nation Radio. If you haven't had a chance to catch up with the boys, make sure you download the app. It's very simple, and then press click. Catch you soon.
Thanks, George.